In order to be faster, you need more power. That's going to apply from everything from the racetrack to tools. And Milwaukee has been really kicking it lately with some really high power tools that have been stressing a lot of the batteries. So what I wanted to do today is take Milwaukee's new 2834 7¼ inch circular saw. They claim to be the fastest circular saw out there, 6,000 no load RPM. This thing rocks. It's also got a new blade on it that looks pretty cool and actually performs quite well. I'm going to take this saw, hook it up to our voltage tester, and we're going to go through the 5 amp hour battery, and we're going to go all the way up and see what it does. And I think there's some interesting things to garner here. One is going to be the voltage that's going to go up and down based on the saw movements, the power it needs as it goes through. As the battery goes down, saw slows down and the more force goes to it. So you're going to see a lot of ups and downs all over the place. And in some cases, you're going to hear the saw freak out a little bit, and that happens with the saw. The saw is super fast, super powerful, and draws a lot. So let's get to it. Here we go with a standard 5 amp hour battery. That was weird. Here's an XC 6 amp hour battery, high output. Here's the Forge 6 amp hour battery. Here's the XC 8 amp hour, which is a high output battery. Here's the 8 amp hour Forge battery. Here's the HD 12 amp hour high output. Here's the HD 12 amp hour Forge. Let's see how this does. After watching that, the first thing I want to draw your attention to is the box. It says fits all M18 batteries, and this thing sure does. It will fit anything from a 1.5 amp hour on up. They fit. Now, do they work? That's a little bit of a different conversation. And as you can see, the 5 amp hour really struggled as it went through and freaked the saw out quite a bit. We saw lows in the 11s as far as voltage, and that was absolutely crazy in my mind. So if I purchased a saw, I would not run a 5 amp hour battery on it. It's going to heat that battery up and probably degrade it quite quickly. Now the 6 amp hour, I had some pretty high hopes for on this because it's performed quite well in other situations, and even though it's just a standard battery, it's still quite a good battery. Lows 13.49 is kind of what I caught in there. Might have jumped a little differently. Not bad, but that's pretty poor when you look at all of our other videos that we've done as far as the lows for voltage. Usually you see the 15s and that's pretty low. So this saw is drawing some serious power. The Forge 6 amp hour battery I had super high hopes for, and it didn't perform as well as I thought it was going to be, with a low of 14.54. Now that doesn't mean it's not a good battery. It is a good battery, and the amount of power that's coming out and the amount of power that supplied is absolutely amazing. I guess I just figured it was going to do a little bit better. Not knowing how much power the saw actually draws, it's just very, very significant. Now, moving up to the 8 amp hour battery, I didn't have much hopes for this one. I was kind of just, let's get this over with. The standard high output battery went down to 12.77 volts, which is pretty low. I mean, we're talking right in between the 5 amp hour and 6 amp hour, so not real good. But the 8 amp hour Forge rocked it out. Absolutely rocked it out as far as feeling as you're going through, and the whole thing, 16.91 volts. That is what I assumed the 6 amp hour was going to do for us, but that tells you how much difference in power output the 6 amp hour has compared to the 8. Significant, significant. So if you're out in the market, I'd buy the 8. I wouldn't even stop at the 6 at this point. I'd go right to the 8. Not much size difference, not much weight difference, lots of power difference. 12 amp hour high output battery. I know how much you guys love that battery. 14.65 was the low. Same basic output as the Forge, which is interesting, right? I think. A lot of you guys don't like it, but it's, it proves Milwaukee's theory that when they said it gives you the same power output, the Forge 6.0, as the 12 HD. Down to a T. They've said that for how long? Since it came out. Proves it right there. 12 amp hour Forge. Wow, 17.95. That rocked it out, held some power, almost a whole volt more than the 8 amp hour Forge. That's significant. I mean, seriously significant. So again, if you have the room in the tool to put the large Forge on, 12 amp hour, it's bigger, but dang, rocked it out. So this test, to me, it shows what Milwaukee's high power tools are coming out with, and what, if you want to get in these high power tools, you have to be willing to invest in the batteries. You can't just go out and buy a tool anymore and say, my 5 amp hour battery is going to do it. It's not. And you have to be able to be into the bigger and more expensive batteries that they have in order to get the performance that you think you're getting out of that tool. So if you just had the 6 amp hour XC and thought you were going to be good because this is a pretty rocking battery, it's not. I mean, it is, but it's not in this tool. So if you're going to invest in these tools, invest in the batteries. It's plain and simple. The batteries are significantly higher in cost, but yet the 12 amp hour battery is coming in right around $250, which is where the old 12 amp hour battery was. These I see on sale for $179 and or less now, so you can find them all over the place. It's crazy where this world is taking us in power tools, and it's also crazy the power that you're going to need out of these. So that leads us to the next thing, and going to be a video that's coming up. What are we going to see as far as runtime based on the power consumption that this new tool has? So I'm going to gear up for that next one, kind of figure out how we're going to lay that one out to show you what happens over time, and maybe compare some different batteries to say, hey, there's still 12 amp hour batteries, but because of their recovery, because of this, do they last longer? Is it going to be a difference because of the severe voltage sag? It's going to be interesting. So subscribe to the channel, give us a like in this video, leave some comments below. Very curious as to your thoughts on this. If you have any questions about the testing, all these batteries are new. I did have some in the supercharger, I did have some in the rapid charger, I did have some in the standard charger, but they all seem to come out pretty close to the top, 20.42 to 20.6. It's all going to be a little variation in battery. Comments, very interested. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.